Crimea is once again ablaze in the struggle for liberation. Ukraine's forces are ramping up their relentless campaign to reclaim the peninsula from Russian control, employing any means necessary. These defenders are identifying and eliminating targets with unprecedented precision and speed. From military installations to aircraft and even prominent Russian officials, nothing is safe as they unleash the full force of their offense on a territory long dominated by enemy power. This relentless ambition isn't new. Since the conflict ignited, Ukraine's armed forces have prioritized Crimea, not just battling on the frontline in regions such as Donetsk and Luhansk, but also crafting strategies to dismantle Russia's hold on its southern peninsula. The precision of their drone strikes and covert operations has escalated dramatically, targeting airfields and infrastructure like the notorious Crimean Bridge. Each attack is methodically chipping away at Russia's resources and influence, progressively incapacitating their military capabilities. Every blow landed on bombers and fighter jets complicates Russia's aerial operations in the region. Whenever Ukraine neutralizes radar stations and air defenses, they create openings for their drones and missiles, paving the way for additional assaults and further crippling enemy assets. Recent days have marked an intensification of these assaults, as Ukraine targets Crimea with renewed vigor, exploiting Russian weaknesses and dwindling supplies to strike high-value targets relentlessly. On the evening of September 21, the landscape shifted dramatically. Ukraine launched an unexpected strike, not on the typical military installations but on a luxury resort called the Faros Sanatorium, nestled on Crimea's southern coastline, near Sebastopol. While it might seem peculiar to target a civilian locale, there was a calculated reason behind this action. Social media buzzed with revelations that high-ranking Russian officials were reportedly at the resort during the attack. Sources indicated that this facility was a hideout for the Federal Security Service, the FSB, a modern incarnation of the KGB. The main restaurant at the resort had also been closed for special services that day, suggesting that significant figures were indeed present. Could Ukraine's intelligence have intercepted this information? Their remarkable track record in gathering critical insights about Russian movements and positions makes this plausible. If they were aware of high-ranking military personnel's presence, this strike could have provided a fleeting opportunity to decimate these key figures. As the echoes of the drone attack reverberated into the night, the Russian side remained tight-lipped. Officials admitted a drone strike had taken place, confirming casualties but withholding specifics. Sergei Aksionov, the appointed leader of the occupied territory, stated that 3 lives were lost and 16 were injured, leaving many questions unanswered about the attack's true impact. Following the Faros strike, Ukraine's offensive did not waver. The very next day, a historic event unfolded. Ukrainian forces utilized drones to engage 2 Russian amphibious B-12 aircraft, known to be among the oldest in Russia's fleet. These aircraft, while outdated, served crucial roles in military operations, particularly around the Crimean Peninsula. Reports unveiled that during this daring attack from the skies, Ukrainian forces caught the B-12s completely off guard while parked at an airbase, possibly Kacha Air Base. The lack of significant air defenses allowed Ukrainian drones to exploit vulnerabilities and deliver a devastating blow, completely neutralizing 2 B-12s along with a Mi-8 helicopter, a standard transport aircraft used extensively by Russian forces. Video footage emerged illustrating the precision of this strike, igniting discussions about the implications of the losses. Could these attacks signify a tipping point, robbing Russia of valuable assets and experienced personnel, and triggering chaos within their ranks? As the dust settled, the narrative around Crimea's increasing instability deepened. How long could Russian defenses withstand the storm unleashed by Ukraine's relentless pursuit of liberation? Would this pattern of strikes continue to rattle the Kremlin's military grip? The tension builds, leaving observers on the edge of their seats, eagerly anticipating the next move in this high-stakes game of warfare. On the evening of September 21, a significant attack unfolded. In a surprising twist, the target was not a military installation, as expected, but a luxurious resort known as the Faros Sanatorium, nestled along Crimea's southern coast near Sebastopol. This may seem an unusual choice given Ukraine's historical focus on military targets. Unlike Russia, which consistently strikes civilian infrastructures like hospitals and schools, Ukraine has maintained a moral high ground, intentionally steering clear of harming innocents. However, this time, the decision to strike was driven by a strategic motive shrouded in intrigue. As news surfaced on social media, it became clear that several high-ranking Russian officials were present at the resort during the attack. Reports from the Crimean Wind telegram channel suggested that the Federal Security Service, known for its covert operations, had established a presence there. Our sources confirm that the FSB has established a base at the sanatorium and that it is frequented by high-ranking officials. Moreover, journalists uncovered that the resort's main restaurant was closed that day for its special service, hinting at the significance of the guests within. The stakes were high. Even the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, had vacationed in this area before. It was entirely plausible that top military figures were at hand. Ukraine's intelligence agencies, renowned for their capability to infiltrate Russian military lines and gather critical information, may have caught wind of this. If they had identified military leaders congregated there. This strike could represent an invaluable opportunity to dismantle command structures. However, concrete details about the aftermath remain vague. The main Directorate of Intelligence has yet to release a comprehensive account of the goals behind this audacious operation or the effectiveness of the strike. Meanwhile, on the Russian front, although some information trickled in, officials merely confirmed the occurrence of a drone attack, leaving the public with more questions than answers. In the backdrop of an intensifying conflict, Ukraine's forces are relentlessly pursuing the liberation of Crimea, and they are getting stronger with each precise strike. The relentless battle for the once pristine peninsula reveals the escalating fury of war, igniting fears and tensions among those who dare to occupy it. The Ukrainian armed forces are not merely targeting military installations. This time, a luxurious resort became the scene of a significant military operation. On September 21, Ukraine's forces launched an unexpected attack on the Faros Sanatorium. Located along the southern coast of Crimea, it is a place that at first glance appeared peaceful, yet the air crackled with hidden tensions. Was it just a resort, or was there a deeper purpose lurking beneath its tranquil facade? Reports indicated high-ranking Russian officials may have been enjoying a respite there, unaware of the impending doom. The day of the attack, the restaurant buzzed with activity, but it was suddenly marked with a rare event at special service that kept it closed. This attack signaled a shift in strategy for Ukraine, stepping away from traditional military targets to strike at the heart of the enemy's elite. Speculation swirled about the intelligence that identified VIPs present at the resort. What if Ukraine had gathered the means to conduct such strikes based on critical insights into Russian operations? The Ukrainian intelligence agency has been remarkable in unveiling crucial details about Russian military movements. From the Russian side, panic rippled through the ranks as officials confirmed the drone assault but refrained from providing specifics. The Russian Ministry of Defense acknowledged that multiple drones were intercepted, but the leader of the occupied region revealed that 3 people perished, with 16 more wounded. Could these casualties include vital figures in Russia's military hierarchy? If so, the attack could significantly destabilize the Kremlin's command structure. But even more surprises lay ahead. Just a day after the resort strike, another unprecedented attack unfolded. Drones were unleashed to obliterate 2 aging Russian B-12 amphibious aircraft, marking a historic moment for Ukraine. Once revered for their anti-submarine prowess during the Cold War, the B-12s have become relics, yet they've continued patrolling the Crimean skies. Caught off guard, the planes had no chance, parked invulnerable without adequate defenses. Footage showed the relentless approach of the drones, striking with a calculated precision that sent shockwaves across military ranks. As the remnants of the aircraft lay smoldering, the relentless whispers of no air defense echoed through the corridors of power in Russia. While these victories are worthy moments for Ukraine, a lingering tension remains. Just how vulnerable is Russia's military now? And what deeper strategies lie ahead as Ukraine capitalizes on this momentum? The next move could very well alter the course of history for both nations. Earlier we noted that the B-12 aircraft are among Russia's oldest operational war machines, first soaring in 1960 and serving through the Cold War. Only a handful remain, still patrolling the Crimean skies. What if a relic born in the heart of the Cold War could be felled by a silent, humming drone? Could a single strike erase decades of military heritage and expose the cracks in a seemingly impregnable fortress? The answer unfolded over a storm-laden night above the Black Sea. The B-12, nicknamed the Cheka or Seagull, replaced the older B-6 model that first flew in 1949. Its hulking frame stretched nearly 100 feet, powered by twin Ivchenko Progress AI-20D turboprop engines, each delivering over 5,000 horsepower. It could sprint to 330 miles per hour and cruise for 2,100 miles. Historically, the aircraft served Egypt, Syria, and others, but today only Russia and Ukraine keep them aloft. Out of roughly 150 built, analysts estimate only a few fully functional units survive in Russian hands. In a daring night raid, 2 of these aging birds vanished from the sky. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry shared a grainy video. For the first time in history, the warriors from the Ukrainian intelligence unit destroyed 2 Russian B-12 Cheka amphibious aircraft, the Post read. The footage placed the viewer inside the drones, their rotors whirring, lenses focusing on metallic silhouettes perched on the tarmac. One B-12 exploded in a fireball, a second followed, its wings shredding in a flash. The attack did not stop there. An Mi-8 helicopter, the world's most produced rotorcraft, also crumpled under the onslaught. Analysts pinpoint the target airfield as Kacha Air Base, a key hub for the Black Sea Fleet north of Sebastopol. Despite the base's reputation for robust air defense systems, the Ukrainian drone slipped through the radar net, meeting little resistance. A captured soldier's video later showed twisted steel and smoking wreckage, while a commentator warned, "Their radar is useless, their defenses are gone." What does this audacious strike signal for Russia's grip on Crimea? Can a fleet of aging planes survive against swarms of cheap, agile drones, or will this be the first crack in a wall that has stood for decades? The answer hangs in the night air, waiting for the next pulse of metal to fall. As tensions rise in Crimea, a new chapter in the conflict unfolds. The Ukrainian armed forces are intensifying their efforts to reclaim the long-occupied peninsula, ruthlessly targeting Russian military positions. The relentless pursuit for liberation has escalated to unprecedented levels, with the Ukrainian forces striking with alarming precision. Their campaign has extended beyond conventional military targets, reaching into territory once considered safe. On the evening of September 21, a luxury resort on the Crimean coast was the scene of a shocking attack. Initial observations might suggest that hitting a civilian establishment like the Faros Sanatorium seemed excessive, even for a war-driven strategy. However, intelligence hinted at the real reason behind this targeting. High-ranking Russian officials were allegedly present at the resort, prompting a carefully calculated risk on the part of Ukraine's forces. Reports from social media hinted at the involvement of Russia's Federal Security Service, utilizing the facility for clandestine operations. Could this operation have been a cover for pivotal strategic meetings? Was it a golden opportunity for Ukraine to strike back significantly? Amidst this backdrop, the tension heightened as Ukrainian forces executed their plan. Detailed accounts emerged later revealing that the high-stakes attack resulted in multiple casualties. Russia confirmed this loss reluctantly, only disclosing that a drone strike had indeed occurred, leading to 3 fatalities and numerous injuries. But what was the true cost of this assault for Russia's military hierarchy? The tremors of uncertainty surged through their ranks as they grappled with the implications. Just a day later, on September 22, the conflict escalated further. In a historic first, Ukrainian forces unleashed drones against Russian amphibious aircraft, targeting 2 aging B-12 turboprop planes. Reports indicated that these aircraft, remnants from a bygone era of aviation, were vital for reconnaissance, patrolling the skies for threats from Ukrainian drones and naval forces. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense proudly announced in a tweet that their forces had managed to eliminate these outdated yet significant assets, further diminishing Russia's capabilities in the region. Captured drone footage illustrated the bewitching moment of impact, showcasing the vulnerability of the parked aircraft at Kacha Air Base, where minimal defense had turned the airspace into a deadly zone. Analysts were stunned by the apparent lack of air support, revealing a gaping hole in Russian defenses. A video shared by a Russian soldier illustrated the wreckage, a barren site where helicopters once soothed the skies. There was more at stake here than just military assets. The B-12s were crucial for gathering intelligence on Ukrainian maneuvers in the Black Sea. Their loss meant Russia faced increased obstacles in protecting their maritime assets. Who would fill the gap created by their absence? As they now navigated through uncertain waters, the question remained, how would they adapt to these crippling losses? With intelligence operations crippled and a blow to Russia's military pride. Ukraine's recent strikes represented more than just assaults. They were strategic blows to the very heart of Russian military operations in Crimea. The country's war machine, already strained, now faced yet another wobble of uncertainty. What would this mean for the future of the conflict? The battle for Crimea was nowhere close to ending, and every tactical move created ripples in an already tumultuous sea. As the simmering conflict in Crimea reaches an explosive peak, Ukraine's forces intensify their relentless pursuit of liberation, targeting Russian occupiers with newfound precision. With their quest to reclaim the peninsula, Ukrainian troops are systematically dismantling Russian defenses at an unprecedented rate, focusing on everything from military installations to high-ranking officials. This fierce campaign marks a pivotal moment, bringing the warfare directly to the territory that has remained under Russian control for over a decade. Ukraine's armed forces have prioritized Crimea since the early days of the war. Their efforts are not confined to frontline skirmishes in regions like Donetsk and Luhansk. They are continuously devising strategies to weaken Russia's hold on the southern coast. By executing surgical drone strikes and covert operations against critical infrastructure, they have effectively chipped away at Russian military capabilities. The systematic elimination of bombers, fighter jets, and radar facilities has consistently cleared the skies, allowing for greater offensive freedom. In a startling development on September 21, a striking attack unfolded that deviated from Ukraine's typical military focus. This time, a luxury resort, the Foros Sanatorium, located on Crimea's southern coast, became the target. Although it may appear unusual to strike a civilian site amidst the ongoing war, intelligence indicated that high-ranking Russian officials were gathered there, highlighting a strategic opportunity. While Ukraine avoids the indiscriminate targeting of civilian infrastructure, this strike aimed to deal a potentially crippling blow to Russian military leadership. Reports suggest that the Russian Federal Security Service, FSB, had established a presence at the resort, frequented by top officials, a hint that Ukraine's intelligence network effectively intercepted crucial details about their movements. Eyewitness accounts revealed that a high-profile meeting was likely in progress, bolstering the rationale behind the strike. With the recent assassination of key figures in mind, this strike was a calculated risk, a chance that may have succeeded in eliminating some critical Russian military players. Russian responses were swift but vague. While officials confirmed a drone strike occurred, details remained scarce. Authorities indicated casualties, 3 confirmed dead, with several more injured, though they failed to disclose further identities or specifics about the damage. The ambiguity surrounding the event suggests significant losses inflicted on Russian military assets, potentially compromising their operational capabilities. The following day heightened the narrative further, as reports surfaced of Ukraine employing drones to target 2 B-12 turboprop aircraft, marking a significant escalation in Ukrainian drone warfare. These planes, relics from the Cold War era, are among the oldest in the Russian fleet, an indication of dwindling resources. Even though they lack modern weaponry, striking these planes at a vulnerability-laden airbase showcased Ukraine's tactical advantage. Videos shared by Ukrainian defense officials displayed precise attacks on these amphibious aircraft, eliminating them with remarkable efficiency. With limited air defenses at the Russian base, the drones faced little opposition, underscoring a serious lapse in Russia's protective measures. The aftermath revealed extensive wreckage, reinforcing the narrative of a costly and impactful strike for the Russian military. Additionally, the B-12s had served critical roles beyond combat, historically employed in reconnaissance and rescue operations along the Crimean coast. They were envisioned as multifunctional assets, yet their numbers have swiftly dwindled. Satellite reconnaissance indicated that Russia had only a handful of operational B-12s left, rendering these aircraft an increasingly rare resource. With 2 destroyed in this single assault, substantial damage was inflicted upon Russia's remaining capabilities, potentially crippling their maritime operations and reducing their aerial surveillance effectiveness significantly. Could Ukraine's strategic strikes on such critical but aging assets change the tide of the conflict? As each attack cripples Russia's operational capacity, one must ponder whether this represents the dawn of a new military strategy for Ukraine or simply another chapter in an ongoing war for survival. Crimea is ablaze once more, and the stakes have never been higher. Ukraine's forces are on an all-out offensive to reclaim the peninsula from the grip of Russian occupation. With a new, relentless strategy, they are swiftly obliterating key targets. Radar systems, military aircraft, and even high-ranking Russian officials are being eliminated at an unprecedented rate. Could this be the moment that shifts the tide of the war? For years, Crimea has been a focal point in this brutal conflict, and Ukraine's military has made it a priority since day one. They are not just fighting on the front lines in Donetsk and Luhansk, they are waging a war of attrition on the southern coast. With their drones and precision strikes, they have been sowing chaos within the Russian ranks, targeting vital infrastructure like the infamous Crimean Bridge. Each successful attack chips away at Moscow's iron grip on the territory. Despite the increasing intensity of battles in other regions, Ukraine has intensified its strikes on Crimea. One particularly daring assault took place on the evening of September 21st. But instead of attacking a military installation, Ukraine set its sights on a luxury resort, the Foros Sanatorium. Many might find this choice baffling, perhaps even immoral. However, whispers on social media suggested that high-ranking Russian officials were hiding out there, using the retreat as a shield against the conflict. With the possibility that the Kremlin's elite were present, Ukraine may have identified a prime opportunity to deal a devastating blow to the enemy. Chaos erupted as drone strikes shattered the calm at the resort, confirmed by Russian officials who reported several fatalities. Could this precision strike have eliminated key military leaders, thereby crippling Russian operations further? Meanwhile, Ukrainian intelligence had already proven their ability to gather critical information on Russian movements. Every ounce of data strengthens their resolve to hit harder and push deeper. But this was just one victory. The very next day, reports revealed a historic strike. For the first time, drones took down 2 Russian B-12 amphibious aircraft. The B-12, nicknamed Cheka or Seagull, is an aging plane, yet it played a significant role in patrolling the Crimean skies. While not the most advanced, losing them was a major blow to Russia's operational capabilities. Were 2 of their last working links to the sea fired upon in the unforgiving theater of war? Captured footage revealed an aerial assault, showcasing how easily these drones maneuvered to their target, obliterating the antiquated aircraft. They were parked and vulnerable, exposed to Ukrainian ingenuity to strike without significant resistance. Why had Russian forces let their guard down? And the attacks show no signs of stopping. With each loss, be it military aircraft or radar systems, Russia's grip on Crimea weakens. The GUR, Ukraine's intelligence unit, reported another successful operation on September 25, further dismantling critical Russian capabilities. They took out 2 operational and 26 transport planes and, in doing so, claimed another victory in their relentless quest to liberate the peninsula. With fewer capable assets at their disposal, Russian forces now face a daunting reality. Will Ukraine's innovative tactics continue to dismantle the war machine, or does Russia have surprises in store to counter this fierce onslaught? Behind every strike lies a question: how far will Kyiv go to reclaim its land? As Ukraine's military embarks on this audacious path, only time will tell the outcome of their explosive conflict within Crimea. A burning question haunts the Black Sea: why does a frozen peninsula flash with fire every night, while the world watches in stunned silence? Crimea has become a tinderbox, and every drone-borne strike writes a new chapter in a war that refuses to dim. Previously, Ukraine's elite Ghost unit had reduced 2 IN-26 transport aircraft to smoldering wrecks and crippled a coastal radar designated MR-10M1, blinding Russian eyes on the shoreline. The night air smelled of oil and ash, a bitter reminder that logistics are the lifeblood of any army. Now, on the evening of September 21st, a different target glittered under the moon, the Foros Sanatorium, a luxury resort perched on the southern coast, far from the usual military silhouettes. Why would a civilian retreat become a battlefield? Rumors swirled that high-ranking officials of the Federal Security Service, the modern heir of the old KGB, had gathered there for a secret briefing. The sudden hush of the main restaurant hinted at a closed-door meeting. When the drone sliced through the night, a flash illuminated the sea, and the resort erupted in a roar of flames. 3 lives were lost, 16 wounded, and several facilities shattered, officials announced. Could this be the moment the Kremlin's hidden cadre felt the sting of loss? Only a day later, Ukraine achieved a first in history: 2 B-12 amphibious patrol aircraft vanished from the sky over the western coast, felled by precision drones. These aging seagulls, born in the 1960s, had once prowled the oceans during the Cold War. Their twin Ivchenko Progress engines humming at 5,000 horsepower. Though relics, they still patrolled the waters, guiding submarines and protecting the peninsula. Alongside them, an Mi-8 helicopter, the world's most produced chopper, crumpled under the same relentless assault. The drones slipped past rusted air defense nets as if the sky itself had opened, leaving wreckage that stared like broken bones against the gray concrete. Every destroyed radar, every silenced aircraft, feels like a blade to a blinded beast. Without the ability to see, how can a force anticipate the next strike, know where the thunder will fall, or protect its own soldiers? The ghost operators continue their shadow war, striking where the enemy feels most vulnerable, turning Crimea's once secure perimeter into a maze of uncertainty. As the night deepens, another question hangs in the salty wind: what will the next target be, and will the next explosion finally bring the peninsula's long-awaited liberation? The answer lingers, waiting for the next drone to rise. In a startling twist of fate, the war for Crimea is intensifying as Ukraine ramps up its efforts to reclaim the region from Russian control. Ukrainian forces, known for their strategic precision, have increasingly targeted not just military assets, but also facilities used by high-ranking officials. What precipitated this bold move? On September 21, Ukraine's forces carried out an attack on the luxurious Foros Sanatorium, a seemingly innocuous resort on Crimea's southern coast. But rumors floated online about the presence of Russian officials, including members of the Federal Security Service, at the site during the strike. Could this be a game-changing moment in the conflict? Ukrainian intelligence, adept at gathering crucial information, may have identified this as a golden opportunity to strike at key military figures. As the attack unfolded, reports came pouring in from Russian sources confirming the devastating impact. 3 lives were claimed and numerous individuals injured, yet the full extent of the damage remained shrouded in mystery. What exactly transpired in those chaotic moments? Moving forward, the battle escalated further. A day after the Foros strike, Ukraine made history with a drone strike on 2 aging B-12 turboprop planes. These aircraft, relics from the Cold War, were sitting ducks at Kacha Air Base, vulnerable due to a lack of effective air defenses. How could such an audacious tactic go virtually unopposed? The army's defenses faltered, highlighting significant weaknesses in Russia's military structure. The sensitive eye of surveillance was absent on that fateful day, leaving the Russian forces vulnerable. Videos emerged showcasing the drones honing in on their targets with chilling precision, revealing a fiery spectacle as the planes burst into flames. The echoes of their destruction rocked the air, carrying shockwaves far beyond the immediate vicinity. What would be the aftermath of this daring assault? With critical targets taken down, the future looked grim for the Kremlin's operations. Reports indicated a fuel crisis gripping Crimea. Gasoline supplies had dwindled to nothing, leaving both civilians and military operations stranded. How would this fuel crisis affect Russia's capabilities as Ukraine continued its relentless pursuit? As the shadows of impending strikes loom larger, one question remains: what vulnerabilities will the next attack expose? Each day brings new possibilities, and the fall of Crimea seems more attainable than ever. The battle for control rages on, as both sides prepare for what comes next, the stakes higher than ever. As the conflict rages on, Crimea finds itself engulfed in flames once more. Ukrainian forces are relentlessly pursuing the liberation of this peninsula, determined to expel the Russian occupiers from their land. With remarkable speed and precision, they are striking key targets, military installations, aircraft, and, chillingly, high-ranking officials. The war's ferocity has solidified its reach into a territory long under Russian control, stirring a tempest that might change the course of the conflict. Since the early days of the war, Crimea has been a focal point for Ukraine's armed forces. Their operations are not limited to frontline battles but include clever tactics to disrupt Russian dominance in this vital region. They've meticulously executed drone strikes and covert actions that have steadily eroded Russian capabilities, including notable assaults on airfields and even the strategic Crimean Bridge. Recently, a startling attack occurred on September 21, targeting the luxurious Foros Sanatorium, located on Crimea's southern coast. It seemed an unexpected choice for Ukrainian forces usually fixated on military endeavors. Yet this resort served as a critical meeting point for high-ranking Russian officials, and intelligence hinted at their presence during the strike. Reports suggested the Russian Federal Security Service had taken residence at the site, using it for clandestine gatherings. On the day of the attack, the resort's restaurant was mysteriously closed, reinforcing suspicions that significant figures might be inside. The implications of this strike could resonate deeply within Russian military circles, crippling command structures and sowing chaos amongst their ranks. As one report emphasized, this was a calculated risk with potential to dismantle leadership roles, leaving soldiers vulnerable in an already precarious situation. But the Foros Sanatorium assault was just the beginning. One day later, on September 22, Ukraine launched another unprecedented strike, utilizing drones against 2 antiquated but still operational B-12 amphibious planes. These aging aircraft, relics from the Cold War era, had been patrolling the skies around Crimea but now lay in ruins. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense shared footage of the operation, showcasing the precision of their pilots as the drones swiftly took down their targets. The most amazing aspect? No substantial air defense met them. This lapse in Russian defenses has raised eyebrows worldwide, prompting questions about how long the Kremlin can maintain its grip on the region, especially given reports of fuel shortages affecting both Crimea and other parts of Russia. The situation has escalated to the point where gas stations are running dry, leaving civilians scrambling for transportation. As a result, daily life deteriorates, with rising prices and fewer vehicles on the roads. What does the fuel crisis signify for Russia's ability to sustain military operations? The deficiencies in fuel, coupled with so many successful strikes on military equipment, paint a bleak picture for those loyal to Moscow. As Ukraine systematically strips away Russian control, the question looms larger: could this chain of events ultimately lead to the reclamation of Crimea by Ukraine, a territory lost under duress back in 2014? The world watches as this saga of conflict unfolds, with each day potentially bringing new developments. Are we witnessing just the beginning of a seismic shift in power dynamics? Only time will tell.